Welcome everyone. So time for some more expectation. And so in this video, we're really going to talk about two big concepts here. So expectation for a function of a random variable, and then some basic rules for if the function of a random variable is linear, then there are some shortcuts that we can use. So starting with just a general function of a random variable. And so we are really thinking about this expectation as just instead of weighting y directly with its associated probability, we are now weighting g of y instead of y. And so g is just some real function, and some common ones that are highlighted here are y squared could be a real valued function, log of y, square root of y, e to the y cubed. So any real valued function you can do this with. And I'll also make a quick note here that log is the natural log. So when statisticians talk about log like this, we always mean the natural log. If you're coming from a math background, that's probably a little bit unusual because log is usually base 10 if you're in math. But in stats, log is always natural log. So we will treat it like that. And so let's dive into this example then. So if we wanted to find the expectation of the natural log of x, where x has this probability distribution function, all that we're going to do is, again, the only thing that changes is that now instead of doing 5 times 0.1 plus 10 times 0.25. So instead of doing that type of calculation, we're just going to use our function. And so we would just say, oh, no, I don't want to weight 5 by 0.1. I want to weight the log of 5 by that associated probability of 0.1. Same with 10. We want to weight the log of 10 all the way up to, so I'm not going to write all of this out, log of 25, which gets weighted by 0.1. So again, it's still a weighted average, but now we just apply the function to the possible values of the random variable before taking that weighted average. If you calculate all this out, you wind up with an expectation of 2.6198. And so our expected value for the log of x is about 2.62. Another way that you could think about this is you could think about taking the, or applying the function beforehand. Whoa. And so in other words, you can think about making a new column in the table with all of these logs. And then after you have that new column, you could pretty much ignore the initial column completely when you're computing the expectation. We often will not actually take that extra step. We'll often just jump straight to what I did first, but it is another way that you could think about the expectation of a function of a random variable. The other part of this video is that if we have a linear function of a random variable y with some generic constants, then all of these 5 properties are true. And so we'll gain some intuition about why some of these are true in class, but I will just quickly note that you will need these 3 for the quiz. And so these three, I think, are the more intuitive ones of the properties. And so if you have a constant, like just the value 3, then the expectation of 3 is just 3. So that kind of makes sense. This second one says that if you add a constant to a random variable, then you can just, when you're finding the expectation of y plus c, you could just take the expectation of y and then add c at the end. And you have a similar property for when you are multiplying a random variable by a constant, in this case, b. As a quick example for this, just to give you some concrete example to help you for the quiz, we might say, okay, we'll say we know e of y is 2.5. We can define a linear function of y, x, which is 2y minus 1. Then the expectation of x is the expectation of 2y minus 1. And we could start applying these properties to then say that that is going to be equal to 2 times the expectation of y minus the expectation of 1, which is 2 times 2.5 minus 1, which is 4. So just a shortcut, you actually can solve this problem in other ways. If you had the full probability distribution of y, you could apply what we did earlier. But if your function is linear, then there are some shortcuts that you could take advantage of.